This DVD is for staff and volunteers who have infrequent contact with children and young people, and/or parents and carers who may become aware of possible abuse and neglect. This may include, for example, librarians, GPs, opticians or dentist receptionists, ground staff or caretakers, cleaners in hospitals or leisure centres, hospital porters or court ushers, environmental health officers, housing maintenance staff, catering staff or staff working in adult services such as drug and alcohol services. This is to help raise your awareness of safeguarding, so you know what to do if you are concerned, and to ensure you know that you have a part to play in safeguarding children and young people through identifying possible problems in a wide range of family situations.
Someone might be concerned that physical injury has occurred to a child or physical abuse if, for instance, they saw unusual or unexplained bruising or injuries to part of the body. Most people dealing with children, of course, would obviously see their face, perhaps arms, but perhaps not other parts of the body. As most people would know, children who are active often fall over and injure themselves, so it may be quite acceptable to have injuries to the forehead, nose, chin, elbows and knees, but in some of the other parts it may well raise suspicion, especially on the face, around the ears or the eyes or the soft part of the cheek. And I think somebody would be suspicious if, on asking a parent or carer, they were not able to give an adequate answer as to how that's happened.
If you saw a father in a swimming pool with their child and actually you could smell whiskey on their breath, you knew that they were stumbling and they weren't in a fit state to actually be safeguarding their child in that environment, that would be a cause of concern, and that would be something that you passed on. If you saw a parent who was struggling with their own mental ill health, it may be just a blip. It could be a family bereavement where they are not continually unable to cope, but for that limited amount of time, they just need some support, and you may well pick up on that in your conversations with them.
The signs of emotional abuse can be quite subtle and difficult to pick up. But children and young people who have been emotionally abused, especially over a long period of time, may be withdrawn. They may have quite extreme and unusual behaviours. They tend not to trust other people and are suspicious of them, and may, in teenage years, for instance, get into almost self-abusive behaviour, including substance misuse, alcohol abuse, and even self-harming behaviour like cutting. In younger children, emotional abuse often results in poor behaviour, but difficult relationships. So there may be difficulty in bonding at school or at nursery, for instance, and they may show signs of high anxiety, very fearful about getting into certain situations, and not able to relate either to situations or to people.
If we look at the areas of child development, we get really concerned when a child misses a lot of schooling. So as a receptionist, if you notice when mum comes in maybe to collect prescriptions, the child's with her all the time and it's during the school day, that should be actually noted and of concern. If the mum is bringing them in frequently with continuous runny noses, if there is nothing really medically wrong with the child, we should be concerned about them. If they won't allow the child to experiment, to play with the toys in the reception area, actually why won't they allow them to do that?
Many people would be very worried about finding that there has been sexual abuse, but often there's very little to either see or to pick up from a child unless a child or young person discloses that something has happened. But the signs and symptoms we can look out for are fear of going home, worry about getting changed, for instance, in front of other people, behaviour that may be quite aggressive, showing that there's an inner anger that's come about because of the sexual abuse. And in young children, there may be a recurrence of wetting or soiling that previously had not been a problem, but there's a regression in behaviour because of the sexual abuse.
If we look at the family and environmental factors, it may well be a bus driver overhears a 14-year-old girl talking to her friends about being forced to go back to her homeland. We don't know why that is. We have forced marriages, and actually that has to be reported. We have people talking to people who have just been put out of work. That has a huge stressful factor for the family and may well lead to some support being needed for the child and the family. It's looking at, when you're collecting things from the house, is the house in a fit state to actually be lived in?
Whether children and young people come from poor families or well-to-do families, there are still things that we can look out for that would raise our concern for neglect. We do have concerns about children who regularly turn up, let's say, to school with inappropriate clothing for the weather, with unkempt hair, grubby, and perhaps lacking personal hygiene. Younger children who have suffered from neglect often show a slow development. They do not keep up with other children of their age in various areas of development, and especially in speech and language. That may be an early sign that the family or the carers have not been responding to them and speaking to them. Another sign in older children may be failure to attend appropriate medical appointments. So teachers or other professionals may become aware that a child has a medical condition such as eczema or lice in the hair, and this is a recurring problem that seems to be getting worse and worse despite carers saying that they are aware of it.
The nation was shocked by the tragic death of baby P. The toddler died on the 3rd of August 2007 at the hands of his mother, her partner and their lodger, despite the fact he was on the Child Protection Register. This horrific case happened in the same borough where 8-year-old Victoria Climbié was murdered in February 2000. This once happy and enthusiastic little girl died as a result of the most unimaginable cruelty, after being entrusted into the care of her aunt. Victoria's mother had sent her thousands of miles away from her home in the Ivory Coast in the hope that her daughter would have a better life.
For some of the children that you may come into contact with, it may not always be easy to have the conversation with them that you would. They may have English as an alternative language. Their disability may prevent them from you understanding them clearly. This shouldn't prevent you from acting on what causes you concern. And you should never, ever be able to put your bias, your prejudice in the way of the needs of the child. When a child is telling you something, they will follow their own script. You have to listen to what they're saying and react in a positive and encouraging way for that child.
They should always talk to the person who they're concerned about, whether that's a child or an adult, and explain to them that they have a duty to pass on that information, unless they feel that places that child or vulnerable adult at further risk. They should then go and talk to their manager about their concerns and discuss who, if they feel it's appropriate, is going to pass that on to the child protection team. Clear recording is very important in any situation with child protection, and whether that's writing it down in your own words or talking it through with a manager and recording it in some format as soon as possible after the disclosure has been made. Here at the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub, we have close connections with the Early Response Service hubs across Devon, and they help implement the Common Assessment Framework, which is referred to as CAF. And the emphasis for CAF work is early intervention and early help for families within Devon, and to ensure that any low-lying or child in need concerns can be addressed at an early stage to ensure that child's needs are met before it reaches any child protection concerns.
Staff can seek guidance, help and support within their organisation from their managers, from the designated, named or child protection leads, from the MASH, the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub or Children and Young People's Services, from the DSCB website, Devon Safeguarding Children Board, or the South West Child Protection Procedure website. There is also documentation such as what to do if you're worried a child is going to be abused, or working together to safeguard children.
If anyone has a concern about a child or wants further advice in regards to any child protection issues, they can contact the Multi-Agency Safeguarding Hub and talk to a qualified professional, social worker or practice manager who'll give them advice on whether or not to make a formal referral. Before a referral is made, it's really important to talk to a family in regards to gaining consent to share that information, unless there is child protection concerns which would place that child at immediate risk if that was discussed with the family.
Professor Monroe was asked to do a review of the whole child protection system. Her report emphasises the importance of early help, early intervention, prevention and working in partnership with parents and carers of children and young people. She puts the focus and the emphasis back on the child and on frontline professionals.
All of us share responsibility, not just the paediatricians or the police or the social worker, but all of us share that responsibility.
The government very clearly stated a few years ago that everybody in society actually had a responsibility to the children within our care. It's all our duties to make sure the children grow up being happy, healthy individuals, and they contribute back to society what we would like them to. We can't now just turn around and say, this is social services, this is education's fault. We all have to be a part, a big society, to make the life of that child fulfilling.
There is an increasing acceptance that looking after children who are by definition vulnerable and the future of our families and country is a responsibility for all of us, whether we have children of our own or whether we are sharing in care of those children. We all need to take that responsibility.
Every member of staff, professional or member of the public has a duty to safeguard children, so whether that's in a professional capacity or out on the street as a member of the public. It's important that everyone has an awareness of child protection concerns and how to report them so that we can safeguard children appropriately in Devon.
It's important that everybody is aware of their safeguarding responsibilities, because child protection is everyone's responsibility and we all have a role to play in keeping children and young people safe.
It only takes one person to note something that's not right and to do something about it that could make a huge difference to that individual child.
As an employee, or as a neighbour, or as a friend, if you are at all concerned about a child or young person, then please do not hesitate to talk to someone about these concerns. For information about who to contact, go to the Devon Children's Safeguarding Board website, dscb.info.